Hi, everyone. My name is Ali. I'm here to talk to you about Volt. First of all, I'm going to start with the team. We're a team of 5 people. There's 2 hackers on the team, 2 hustlers and myself, 2 hipsters and myself. I'm the hustler. We're trying to create a ride-sharing culture in Istanbul with Volt. Volt is a ride-sharing app that creates trust between users by using social graph and real communities. We want to start with Istanbul for many reasons, but the obvious reason and the most compelling one was the fact that 70% of the cars only have the driver in them. The total addressable market, that's another reason. The total addressable market only in Istanbul is $750 million, which is quite huge. That's why we're starting with Istanbul as a priority, but we're building the product with scalability in mind. We're going live in 2 days, actually. So on Friday, we'll be live on the App Store. You can download the app, hopefully trying to get it tomorrow. Very quickly, I'm going to show you how the app looks like. The app has a rides feed that shows you all the drivers that are departing from your location with empty seats and all the passengers that are requesting rides from your current location. And you can simply go to a ride. You can see the driver. You can see how you're connected to them socially. And you can see what part of communities you both belong to. And then you can see the ride trips with the car and where and from. You can reserve a ride and you can say how many seats you want in the car. The driver on the other side gets a notification and can approve, reject, decline whoever is trying to get in their car. Regarding idea validation, I spoke to more than 400 people by now in restaurants, in cafes, in public transportation. But most importantly, I sold my car 4 months ago when I first started this, and I started hitchhiking myself. And people are loving it. These are people that we manually hitchhike. We manually do Volt together over WhatsApp and Facebook. And most importantly, I spoke to the residential compound where I live, and I asked them if they would help us when we launch in March. They didn't only love the idea, they adopted it, and they did a hitchhiking stop, which shows the readiness in the culture for ride-sharing in Turkey. We have a few competitors in Turkey, a couple of them, and a few international proxies, but our most important competitor is BlaBlaCar, and this is the most direct one. We hope to beat BlaBlaCar with localization, like being a stronger local player, and by being mobile only, by offering a better experience. Right now, we're trying to raise $300,000. That will give us a 12-month runway. We've already raised angel funding by Emre Aydın, the founder of Çiçek Sepeti. It's a company that has received investment from Amazon. And I would love to leave you with a quote that motivates the rest of the Volt team. First, please learn more at Volt, thevoltapp.com. And this is the quote that motivates the rest of the team, because we believe traffic is an exponential problem that can only be solved with an out-of-the-box solution. Thank you.
So, presentation slides, nice slide design. You've covered most of the things except a few. Your sequencing is a little funny. You kind of start in the middle, then go back to the beginning, and then kind of go towards the end. So you want to talk about who's the customer, what's the problem, why is this a problem, right? Maybe talks about analogs. How is it currently being solved? Are there people looking for rides? Are they, like you said, you're doing this by WhatsApp, etc. So is there a market for people already trying to do this? What's the actual situation in Istanbul right now trying to do this? And then talk about your solution. Now, what you didn't talk about, and it's going to be a huge challenge for you, because you're creating a marketplace, right? You need supply and demand. How are you planning to do that? There's nothing more sad about opening a marketplace app that's empty. Like, I want a ride, and there's nobody to give me a ride. Right? So how are you solving that?
You want that answer?
Sure. It's kind of an important one.
We are solving it. Actually, there's a couple of hidden slides here because there's competition present in the room. So these are the kind of things that we will reveal.
You guys are all way too worried about competition. If your entire business is under risk by somebody seeing your deck, you're screwed anyway. You need to have something a little more unique and more strategic.
And it's execution.
Yeah, and execution, yes, absolutely.
But these slides are available in public, so.
Yes, so I know it's in the U.S. the culture is a lot more open.
Well, in Silicon Valley, not in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. U.S. startup culture is a lot more open because everybody understands that if you're not going to get an investor to sign an NDA, there's no secrets, and people generally are not out there to steal your idea.
Yeah,
right?
I would worry more about how well you serve your customer than sort of whether my competitor is going to copy me and I'm in big trouble. It's just very rarely, I don't think it happens as frequently as a lot of people worry about.
Yeah, what you actually did say that you shouldn't say is you've asked for a specific valuation in your ask, right?
We shouldn't know that.
No. It's like playing poker with your cards open.
Okay.
Right? You want to negotiate a good valuation. You're not going to just go in there and ask. You know what's going to happen when you come to us and say, here's what I'm looking to raise? We're going to say, okay, that's the max. Let's see how much lower we can get the valuation off of what you're asking.
But
that's the only thing that can happen.
is it like the first thing that we usually get as entrepreneurs when we say that we're trying to raise that much money is for how much equity? Like this is the immediate.
No, don't watch Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Shark Tank is bullshit.
Worse, yeah.
Shark Tank is bullshit. Everybody, this is not reality. This is not how you raise money for a start.
Read venture deals.
Okay.
Do me a favor and read venture deals. It'll give you a much better understanding of actually how this should work.
So here's how it happens. If you're doing one of two things. You're either doing a convertible note or you're doing an equity deal. If you're doing a convertible note, it comes from you. You set the terms based on the conversations that you have. You have to feel out the market. You send the documents to investors and you set the terms because you're going to have a lot of different investors, right? If you're doing an equity round, you're waiting for a term sheet from your lead investor. They will set the terms, you will negotiate, agree on the terms, and then other investors can come into that after you sign the lead term sheet. So it's two different ways. So if you're doing convertible note, you have to talk to investors, kind of fish for valuation that people seem to like based on where you are, and you put together the documents with that valuation, you send it out.
Can I ask a question about that? So when I'm raising cash flow, I have a financial plan for the next 18 months that I'm trying to get money for. And I know how much that's going to cost me, so that's why I go out and ask for that much money. Is that the wrong approach?
No, it's good. You need to justify what you're trying to raise to a certain extent. But also, the other thing that sounds kind of funny is for an early stage startup to have an 18-month financial plan. Because the only thing you know for sure, it's going to be wrong, and you don't know which direction.
But the reality is that it's actually common in the region where a lot of times they even ask for like 3-year, 5-year plans, which are all bullshit, right? But we know that. That's just the nature of the...
Yeah, the exercise when you show early stage financials and projections, it's only an exercise to demonstrate that you know how to think about your business, how to demonstrate a business model.
And you understand the drivers.
But in reality, everybody understands it's going to be completely different.
Yeah, you hope they understand.
So in the ask, we just ask for the amount we're trying to raise.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And maybe, well, if you're raising bigger money, then it's assumed it's going to be equity deal. But you can say it's a convertible note if you already decided, or if it's an equity deal. That also kind of sets the mood for the conversation. But don't say we're raising this much for this much. Like, okay, we're only going to go down from there. It's not going to be Shark Tank where there's going to be 5 people like bidding on your company live.
If that happens.
It happens on Shark Tank, yes.
And for the marketplace, because this is obviously our biggest challenge, right?
It's huge, and if you've solved that, that's what people are looking. Anybody can build an app, and it could be a nice little interface, and say, "Oh, we're going to do a ride-sharing app."
Yeah.
But 99% of what's important is, have you solved this problem? How are you going to seed? How are you going to create the community?
Okay, so we should show here. You're saying that
Absolutely.
in this 2 minutes, in this 3 minutes pitch, we should show our strategy of how we're going to tackle that.
Because the idea in itself is not new, right? There are a lot of analogs. But how are you going to create this community in Turkey, in Istanbul?
Okay, and you're saying that we should say that in a way that doesn't give away our execution strategy, or we should?
The execution strategy, like here's my view, right? Everyone knows how to build a marketplace. It's really freaking hard to do, right? So my point is that even if you give away a strategy, we're going to use Facebook for getting people on board or whatever.
We're going to go viral.
Yeah, or
we're
whatever.
We're going to launch on TechCrunch and go viral. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. It has to be more thought out than that. Right? You have partnerships that will give you some kind of access, some kind of cheap or free advertising, some kind of awareness that's going to, you're going to quickly build awareness for this, and people, and when you start and say that people are already trying to solve this, if you combine it with there's a big need and growing, and we're going to build big, fast awareness, then people connect the dots. But without those two pieces, you're just going to have an app that's going to be empty, right?
Clear.
Yeah. The other thing is two violations. One, you were dancing. The other was you were reading.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a site by a friend of mine, Sangeet Chaudhry, his name. It's Platformed. If you just want to understand about how to build platforms, how to think about, how to talk about the language of platforms, highly recommend you go and check it out. It's called Platformed.
Platformed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Google it.
All
right. But you really have to, I mean, everything Vitaly says is right. I have a lot of VC friends. They love marketplaces. But the same thing comes up. Marketplaces are really, really, really hard to build. And so we want to have an understanding. So are you going to build a supply side first? Are you going to build a demand side? I don't know. There are different strategies. You need to have a very clear sort of, here's a point I'm making about sort of when you talk through your strategy, talk through your execution. We have another great saying in the Valley. Don't mistake a clear view for a short distance. Just because you share this stuff is not easy to do. Oh, I'm going to use Facebook. That's general enough that people, okay, you can use Facebook as a platform and social graph, fine. There's a lot of idiosyncrasies of actually how you actually execute that, which makes it very, very difficult. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. But I'll ask you about, I'll show you the hidden slide, and you would judge, privately if it's if it's too detailed. Because I'm not just saying that we're gonna do that. It's actually it shows up the strategy. So yeah, maybe
sure, that's fine. Let's chat after this is done.
It just has to be in this presentation. It just has to be enough to show that you have a way to solve it.
We've thought about
that's convincing enough for somebody to get interested and learn more. You don't need to lay out the whole, here's what we're doing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You have to just give us enough to connect the dots, right?
Yeah. Clear.
I think you have modified the presentation for the third time, right? Or fourth time?
Fifth, maybe fifth.
Yeah. I mean, the previous versions were better. I don't know what happened here. Probably because although I know your solution, it was long. The presentation, that you told something not fluently probably, but I don't know what. I have to see the other presentations as well, because you were telling the problem very easily in the first slides, in the last ones.
Yeah. The thing is, previously I was talking more about the problem. Remember the feedback? Yeah. The first feedback I received was that I spent too much time on the problem.
All right. But
now maybe I'm spending too little time on the problem.
All right. Okay, maybe. But you understand the problem, but
the problem and how it's currently being solved should be about 1/3 of your presentation.
1/3?
1/3 or slightly less. You open with it and you talk about the problem and how are people currently trying to deal with that problem.
Yeah, what's right now missing, yes, is that how they're trying to deal with that.
3-minute pitch, is it 3-minute pitch or 2.5? 2.5.
2.5.
So about 45 seconds should be about who's the customer, what's the problem, how are they currently trying to solve it.
Yeah, right now I'm doing it in 20 seconds. Right? So
I didn't really hear how they're trying to solve it, which didn't tell me if there's a market for it, if there's a need to solve it.
All right. Okay. All right, thanks.
Great, thanks.